keep hearing from people.
I want to tell you my secret now. I see dead people.
Like dead serious, they look at me and they say, is he okay?
He's not.
People on the inside say he keeps getting worse, mentally keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
The lack of intellectual ability is stunning.
He keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
I just don't think he's a well guy, period.
The behavior pattern that he is demonstrating right now
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
You know, I kind of just want to dispense with political correctness for a bit and just say what everyone is thinking.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
This behavior is crazy.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
So unbalanced. He is not well.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community, that nobody diagnoses from afar.
He's just not well.
Unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
He has literally devolved to the point where there is concern about his health.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
His ability to take in information and use it correctly. It's like a child.
Are you concerned about the president's health?
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
I think his family should be concerned about his health.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
And I don't know how
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community
how we withstand an unhinged presidency.
that nobody diagnoses from afar.
I'm seriously worried about a person who would do this on a number of levels.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Because he's not well and he's not attached to reality.
He's got his fingers on the button,
That was just-
and he's tweeting about Hillary. It's time for Article 25.
Amendment 20. This
Amendment
25th
20.
Amendment.
25th Amendment. Let's do it. This looks like
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
the steps leading up to a total meltdown.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Because this is not funny. This is really bad. Just for the record, we're all really nervous.
I have been sucking my thumb for 27 years. I only suck my thumb when I'm like tired or hungry or mad or sad.
What a dirty, filthy mouth you got.
There's an unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
I keep hearing from people.
I see dead people.
Like dead serious, they look at me and they say, is he okay? You have no idea what your words mean. And I can't pretend, sort of try and cover this fairly, put it in the veil of objectivity. You have no idea what your words mean and what you're doing to this country. He's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Who gets attacked and doesn't push back. There have been an outrageous number of personal attacks, not just to him, but to, frankly, everyone around him. This is a president who fights fire with fire, certainly will not be allowed to be bullied by liberal media and the liberal elites within the media or Hollywood or anywhere else. What's necessary is to push back against attacks on the president. I've seen far worse things come out of that show, again, directed not just at the president, but everyone around him. Personal attacks, mean, hateful attacks. And again, this president isn't going to sit back and not push back, and he's going to fight fire with fire. And the president, again, isn't going to be somebody who's bullied and allows people, himself and those around him, to be personally attacked. The outrageous attacks that take place on that show, day in, day out, not just at the president and not against his policies, not against things that he's pushing, but they're personal, and they're not just directed at him, but again, everyone around him.
I think the heartland elected Donald Trump. I think there's a common sense out here that people don't get when they're in the city. They have blinders on. If we wreck Middle America, if we wreck agriculture, it will filter through the whole economy, and eventually the coasts will feel it. When I was a kid, we had 4 implement dealers, 3 or 4 car dealers. Don't got nothing like that.
Gary Steele works the same hay farm where he was born. He says the market for hay has dried up. Same for corn. Steele's putting his hope in Trump.
So far, so good. He's pissed everybody off. That's a good sign.
The following is a Nightside Radio Studios production.
From the wind-powered Nightside Radio Studios,
Tear down this wall.
this is the J.J. McCartney Show.
It's this man. It's the compassion. It's the dignity. It's the wisdom. It's the horse sense of the guy.
Did you know that 65% of the people murdered in the last 10 years were killed by handguns?
Would it make you feel any better, little girl, if they was pushed out of windows?
The American people have seen the truth, and they can see through your lies. There's coming a day when publications such as yours turn into nothing more than flea market advertising. They'll be handing it out for free in grocery store parking lots under everybody's windshield wiper. Yeah, that's the future for the Washington Post and the New York Times and every other liberal publication in this country. We are not going to tolerate your bull anymore. None of it. The American people are fed up. I thought we made that clear on November 8th, but apparently you people in the media just don't get it. A new chapter in American history begins now.
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America.
Donald Trump is the person to make America great again.
We are a team.
They said it couldn't be done.
Together, we will lead our party back to the White House.
He said it must be done.
Beginning on January 20th, we cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. The most important difference between our plan and that of our opponent is that our plan will put America first.
Here's J.J. McCartney.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, the man is just telling it like it is. Because here is J.J. McCartney. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 29th day of November. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to run out of Novembers. And, it's amazing. This month has gone by. And every single day, someone else is getting fired for sexual misconduct. And of course, if you haven't heard yet, we'll tell you who the latest in a long line of, I don't know whether to call them harassers, molesters, ne'er-do-wells, or in some case, they're just people that they thought that what they were doing was somehow appropriate. And this is the thing that gets me. You can call Matt Lauer a lot of things. But I don't think that Matt Lauer is a terribly stupid man. And this is what is so perplexing about all of this. I certainly am not questioning the complaints lodged against Matt Lauer. I'm not questioning the fact that apparently it was a slam dunk case. I'm not questioning any of it, but I'm just questioning, did Matt Lauer ever strike any of you? I mean, aside from the fact that he's another talking head on TV, did he ever strike any of you as being particularly stupid or unintelligent? I mean, do you get to be Matt Lauer by being stupid and unintelligent? I don't think so. And so this comes down to what has been the downfall of so many otherwise good men throughout human history. Richard Nixon. Go back to Richard Nixon, who actually said in his conversations with his friends in the White House, he said, well, if the president does it, then it's not illegal. Right? I mean, the rationalization taking place in the mind of somebody like Matt Lauer, thinking that what he was doing was somehow okay, or that because of who he was, he could simply get away with it. The guy has been through a lot, no doubt. this very public divorce proceeding that, put his face on the tabloids and the supermarkets. And so it is. It's a bit of a head scratcher to me that somebody like Matt Lauer would be this, I don't know, careless, reckless, or deluded to think that he could just get away with it scot-free because he was Matt Lauer. And, this is not, and don't get me wrong here, I am not for a second crediting NBC with being a very conscious and devoted to the cause of protecting workers' rights. I mean, you look at NBC over the years and the things that, the ethics that they practiced for many years. And it's hard to say, well, at least now they're cleaning up their act. I'm sorry. For far too long in Western society, certain behavior has been permitted to occur for the simple reason that people thought that they were too big to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Too big to be held accountable for this type of behavior, or to even think that something like this would be okay with the people. So I maybe this represents a bit of a shift in the American workplace, and if that's what comes out of this, then it's a good thing. If that's what comes out of this, people begin to realize you can't just behave like this and think that you're going to get away with it. Then maybe, just maybe the forces of nature are beginning to take root. Maybe people are beginning to realize that you cannot get away with treating women or men in the workplace in a manner which is, not only unbecoming, but is, borderline criminal. And sometimes there's no borderline to it. It's absolutely criminal. And if that's the case, and if this is what comes out of this, then I think it's about time. It is. It's about time that people understood why you have rules and why it is important, especially in a nation that touts itself as being, for the rights of the people. And, the sad thing here is that, the people that like Matt Lauer, care about the guy, now they're shaking their heads and saying, well, what can I possibly do for him to rehabilitate the man? Because, you think he's just going to go out and get another job at another network? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do next. But his divorce supposedly happened because of his fooling around. That's at least that's my understanding. If I'm mistaken, please feel free to correct the record. And why are we talking about Matt Lauer? Well, because it's, top of mind with everybody. Especially on the heels of CBS and PBS firing Charlie Rose for much the same kind of conduct, except I think in the case of Matt Lauer, it may have been more of a serial pattern than many people realize at this point. As a matter of fact, speculation is that there's much more of this that we do not know yet. As a matter of fact, the story from the Daily Beast indicates that the worst is yet to come, saying the face of the Today Show is accused by at least one staffer of sexual misconduct, and several bombshell stories are expected to reveal more. Now, this perhaps is the most shocking media firing in years. NBC News Chairman Andy Lack this morning fired Matt Lauer, the longtime star and mainstay of the news division's most profitable franchise. In a statement read on the air by Savannah Guthrie, who was Lauer's co-host, clearly shaken, the statement read, Lack indicated that the abrupt termination was prompted by a detailed complaint from a colleague about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace by Matt Lauer. Now, this a week after CBS This Morning co-host Charlie Rose was removed from his anchor chair and had his eponymous PBS and Bloomberg media shows canceled because of sexual harassment complaints published by the Washington Post. Now, let's not break our arm patting them on the back. This amid week-long rumors that unnamed outlets were preparing to run an investigative report on Matt Lauer's workplace misconduct. CNN reported the New York Times had been working on a story for weeks about Lauer's alleged misconduct. I'm so sorry to say, Nora, that we know how they, Lauer's NBC News colleagues, feel. CBS's This Morning co-anchor Gayle King said on the air after her colleague Nora O'Donnell reported that Rose has been the subject of at least 3 new sexual harassment complaints from female employees at CBS News, saying, "We know that feeling of reeling and shock." King continued, "And how you just get through it one day at a time. It's very, very sad." Predictably, President Trump, far less empathetic, this of course, the Daily Beast talking, in a series of gloating tweets. Now, this isn't fair. Attacking NBC Chairman Lack, MSNBC host Joe Scarborough, and MSNBC President Phil Griffin. The president said, "Wow, Matt Lauer was just fired from NBC for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace." Trump then said, "But when will the top executives at NBC and Comcast be fired for putting out so much fake news? Check out Andy Lack's past." Now, Scarborough tweeted, "Looks like I picked a good day to stop responding to Trump's bizarre tweets. He is not well." Ha! Oh, Joe Scarborough, you piece of garbage. Really, seriously. Oh, by the way, I love the way that you talk about yourself as if you didn't respond to the president's tweets when that's exactly what you were doing. Yeah, and you've heard my morning Joe bit at the top of the hour before, I'm sure. It's like, professionally speaking, the psychologists don't analyze from afar. And by the way, I'd like to see your credentials, Joe Scarborough. Where are your credentials to declare that Trump is not well? Why do you keep repeating the same talking points, you stupid talking head? That's all you do. You and your girlfriend, Mika Brzezinski, I mean, you guys represent... You guys wouldn't even come up to the level of junior high school student council. And yet you're talking about President Trump, who, by the way, has a very high IQ. And who, by the way, was so smart that he strategically won the presidency by being intelligent, by knowing where to go and who to talk to, and not ignoring any corner of the country when he campaigned for president. You guys still crying in your beer a year later because Donald Trump won. Get over it, you puke. NBC News did not comment on the New York Post's report that Lauer allegedly sexually assaulted a female employee during the 2014 Sochi Winter Games. The report quoted an anonymous NBC insider as saying the woman complained to the network's human resources officials Monday. Now, this happened so quickly, the insider told the Post. She didn't go to the media. she made a complaint to NBC's Human Resources. And her evidence was so compelling that Matt Lauer was fired on Tuesday night. The victim says she has evidence that this has also happened to other women, but so far we don't have evidence of that. Lack said the complaint was received Monday night. It represented, after serious review, a clear violation of our company's standards. So here's breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently now, NBC has standards. We'll try and find evidence of that later. Lack said, as a result, we've decided to terminate his employment. While it is the first complaint about his behavior in the over 20 years that he's been at NBC News, we were also presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident. Lack's statement continued, our highest priority is to create a workplace environment where everyone feels safe and protected, and to ensure that any actions that run counter to our core values are met with consequences, no matter who the offender is. We are deeply saddened by this turn of events, but we will face it together as a news organization. I'm sorry, I have to correct your grammar. He said we will face it together as a fake news organization and do it as transparently a manner as we can. Now, Guthrie, who joined Lauer as today's permanent co-host in 2012, kept her obviously strained composure as she discussed the terrible news with Hoda Kotb, sitting in for the banished Matt Lauer, saying, we just learned this moments ago, just this morning, said Guthrie. As I'm sure you can imagine, we are devastated. We are still processing all of this. And I will tell you, we do not know more than what I just shared with you. But we will be covering this story as reporters, as journalists. I'm sure we will be learning more details in hours and days to come. And we promise we will share that with you. Now, turning to Kotb, Guthrie, near tears, added, and Hoda, I mean, you know, all we can say for the moment is that we are heartbroken. I am heartbroken for Matt. He is my dear, dear friend and my partner, and he's beloved by many, many people here. And I am heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story. And any other women who have their own stories to tell. We are grappling with a dilemma that so many people have faced these past few weeks. How do you reconcile your love for someone with the revelation that they have behaved badly? Well. Now, it's hitting more and more close to home with these people. And yet, they ignored Bill Clinton's behavior for 8 years. I mean, really, lecherous behavior. And they really ignored it for more than 8 years, if you really think about it. She said, and I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that this reckoning that so many organizations have been going through is important. It's long overdue and must result in workplaces where all women, all people feel safe and respected. Guthrie continued, as painful as it is, this moment in our culture and the change had to happen. Kotb responded, yeah, it did, her face as masked of sadness, saying this is a very tough morning for both of us. I've known Matt for 15 years, and I've loved him as a friend and a colleague. And again, just like you were saying, Savannah, it's hard to reconcile what we are hearing with the man we know. Kotb continued, we both woke up with this news pre-dawn. We are trying to process it and trying to make sense of it, and it will take some time for that. So, NBC newbie Megyn Kelly decided to throw her screeching voice into the mix. her program on the 9 a.m. hour of the Today Show says, this one hits close to home. Good Lord. I loathe and detest Megyn Kelly because she is every bit as much an abuser as Bill O'Reilly or anybody else. She says, I too have known Matt for a long time, and he's been a friend and kind of supportive to me in my transition to NBC. Kind of supportive to you? In other words, he tolerated you even though you continue to put daggers in the man's back and twist them. She says, I see the anguish on my colleagues' faces. When this happens, what we don't see is the pain on the faces of those who found the courage to come forward. It's a terrifying thing to do. Kelly, whose complaint about her harassment by the late Fox News chairman Roger Ailes was a major factor in Ailes' firing in July 2016. She said, we don't see the career opportunities women lose because of sexual harassment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I find Megyn Kelly's claims that she was harassed completely unbelievable. Truly, I do. Especially in light of the way that she talked about Roger Ailes when she was actually at Fox News. She did everything but put the crown on his head and proclaim that he was a saint. I mean, you know, with some people, I can actually, you know, listen to what they have to say. But with Megyn Kelly, I'm sorry, but there has been so much crap that has spilled out of the mouth of Megyn Kelly that I'm unable to believe a word that she says, period. And, you know, the nice package that she presents to people physically, it belies the ugliness of the individual that resides inside her head. I'm sorry to say that, but somebody had to. We're going to take our first break of the hour, and phone lines are open. I'd love to get your reactions to the firing of Matt Lauer. And we got much, much more to talk about. We're going to talk about North Korea. We're going to talk about the people out there that are, you know, scared that World War III is coming. We'll talk about that and whatever else is on your mind today. The toll-free phone lines are open at 855-853-5227. More of the J.J. McCartney Show coming up in just a minute.
The J.J. McCartney Show.
Hey, everybody. J.J. McCartney here. You know, it's not very often that I get excited about a product, but I am sure excited about this one. I'm talking, of course, about MyPillow.com. These pillows are made in the USA. They come with a 60-day comfort guarantee and a 10-year warranty. They are machine washable and dryable. They come with a patented interlocking fill. It keeps you cool at night, and it will not go flat. Go to MyPillow.com. Click the Radio Listeners Special tab and use promo code JJMC to get 2 premium king or queen size pillows and 2 additional go anywhere travel pillows for one special price and free shipping. That's MyPillow.com, promo code JJMC, or call 800-953-6613. That's 800-953-6613. MyPillow.com, promo code JJMC.
I felt this thrill going up my leg. You know, I get the same thrill up my leg all over me. If you're gay, you know that America, at its most idealistic, stands for your right to love, because an American president has now declared as much.
President's embracing your children in the way that God did when he created your children.
We live in a powerful time, and as long as Barack Obama's at the helm, it will continue to be.
Commander, give us our orders and tell us where we're going. Give us the mission.
This guy's done everything right. He's raised his family right. Everything he's done is clean as a whistle. He's never not only broken any law, he's never done anything wrong. He's the perfect father, the perfect husband, the perfect American. Darling, you got full control of your puppet I felt this thrill going up my leg.
What do you say to Chris Matthews?
I don't know what I'd say to him, other than maybe I'm glad he's put on a dry diaper and isn't getting that tingle down his leg anymore. But, you know, you mentioned these guys before.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
The rocket launched into the air.
And then crashed into the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The J.J. McCartney Show will continue in just 1 minute.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around. In the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
If you're hearing this, you should be concerned about the Asian longhorn beetle, an invasive species that's destroying our trees. But you can help. Look for the signs and help stop the beetle.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around. In the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Some signs of the ALB are dime-sized holes on tree trunks, a sawdust-like material called frass, and the beetle itself, with a long black body and white spots.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around. In the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Learn all the signs and how to report them at AsianLonghornedBeetle.com. That's AsianLonghornedBeetle.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the Wednesday edition of the J.J. McCartney Show on this November the 29th, 2017. Phone lines are open at 855-853-5227. That's toll-free in the United States, 855-853-5227. And we would love to hear from you today. What do you think? I mean, the firing of Matt Lauer. I mean, what is the what is your perception of all of this, and does it make any sense to you that a news organization that lies as freely as the NBC news organization has over the years, all of a sudden decides they've grown some scruples? All of a sudden they've grown some scruples, and now they're very concerned about the rights of workers. After a prolonged period of time when it didn't seem that they were that concerned. I mean, just the fact that this happened during the 2014 Sochi Winter Games. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that was over 3 years ago. And you're not complaining about the victim, but why did she wait so long? Why did she decide, well, I'm just going to bide my time here? Maybe she tried to work it out some other way and then just finally got tired of, the continuation of being the victim. Might have gotten to her. I don't know. But do you suppose that these types of firings are going to change the basic behavior of men in newsrooms and offices around the world? Is this kind of reaction from NBC and from CBS and PBS and NPR and all the rest, Bloomberg or whoever, is it going to result in the kind of change that people want? I mean, that is my question. And then what? I mean, is there going to be some remuneration here given to the victim? Is NBC or Matt Lauer going to have to pay through the pocketbook to avoid criminal prosecution, or what? I don't know. But it seems to me that, if this woman was as victimized as it sounds like she was, that, Why did it take so very long? And I know some people don't think it's really that long. It's certainly not as long as these professional paid bimbos of George Soros that have made these accusations against Judge Roy Moore, who decided they would wait 38 years. And, highly suspect. But, I really do. I have to ask the question. Because it seems as though there's a kind of a purge going on. And the only people that have anything to worry about are those that have done something wrong. So from that standpoint, I understand it. But the other thing about this is that now, like never before, women in the workplace have been empowered somewhat. Emboldened might be a better word. To stand up for themselves. And, that I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, one thing I do want to ask of all of you, if you enjoy the show at Red State Talk Radio or jjmccartney.com, wherever you might be, I encourage you to share the show with your friends. That's how you grow anything. You get a network of people that care, a network of people that are devoted. They jump in and say, you know what? Other people need to hear this. And, we've tried our as best we can with the time and the energy that we have to get the word out. But it's so much better coming from you than it is coming from us. So if you really want to help us grow, then please let other people know what we're about here. I mean, this year has been brutal. It truly has. This year has been brutal. And we need your help. It's just as simple as that. We need your help. And if you are willing to help us spread the word, if you're willing to help donate to our cause financially, I got to tell you, folks, right now we are operating on vapors. And we do need your help. And as much as anything, we need you to spread the word. So please help us do that, and we will try and repay your kindness with a continuation of the daily programs that we do. And, we're always trying to do a better job. And if you can help us, then I just make this promise to you, everybody listening, you'll get the very best effort from us every day. We will not hold anything back, giving you this best effort that we possibly can. So please join us every weekday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And help us spread the word. Because without you, this thing goes nowhere. And I really do appreciate all of you for coming back every day. And, we talk about these things like the Matt Lauer thing. And it really does make you kind of wonder, are we ever going to see the end of, who next? My wife is wondering, well, who's next? We go from, somebody like Bill O'Reilly, Harvey Weinstein, and then you had Al Franken, Charlie Rose, and now Matt Lauer. Who's next? Who is that going to leave? Is there going to be one straight man in a newsroom anywhere that survives? It's kind of disappointing that that people are behaving this way, but it's also, you know, just in terms of these acceptable liberal men that work in newsrooms. Does any of them know how to behave themselves? I mean, it's a bizarre thing. It truly is. All right, other news to cover, and I'm going to try and bring you as much concise news as we can. North Korea, of course, yesterday fired off an intercontinental ballistic missile. It gained an altitude of 2,500 miles. I mean, that is, it's very concerning. In retaliation, South Korea did send a missile to North Korea, I'm sure with their regards. Okay, here it is. It's happening again. First of all, the gross domestic product has been revised upwards to 3.3%. So Donald Trump has taken Barack Obama to school when it comes to the economy. Now, here is some, you know, it's outrageous, but it's not surprising news that Senator John McCain is threatening to vote against the tax bill. Now, this man is literally on death's door. He is a bitter and incredibly self-centered narcissist. And once again, it could all come down to Senator John McCain. After sinking his party's hopes of repealing Obamacare, in recent days, McCain has been fairly tight-lipped about his views on the tax proposal speeding through the Senate. He says he sees some problems with the existing bill, but is waiting for a final plan before making a decision. Asked about what concerned him about the Senate tax bill this week, McCain replied tersely, "A lot of things." Even though those who know McCain are unsure how he will vote. Oh, please. He's going to milk this thing like never before. If history is any guide, McCain is anything but a yes vote. McCain has voted against big tax cuts before, including two that passed under President George W. Bush. In that case, McCain bucked the majority of his own party on the grounds that the 2001 and 2003 cuts overwhelmingly benefited the rich. Well, Mr. McCain, it's the rich that pay the most taxes in this country, and why can't your pea-brain understand that? A widespread criticism of the current Senate legislation and the bill that has already passed the House. Now, look, folks, you may work for a living and you may pay some taxes. But facts are facts. The top 5% of wage earners in America today, that is the wealthiest of the wealthy, they pay more than 50% of the tax revenues in this country, while the bottom 15% pay nothing at all. As a matter of fact, I think that might be a little low. I think we have more like 30 or 40% of taxpayers, supposed taxpayers, that don't pay anything. Now, considering the fact that the Republicans have a slim 2-vote majority in the Senate, and considering that there's McCain and there's Murkowski, and then there's that nut job, Susan Collins. I mean, it's a hard sell. You know, the Democrats, they're showing no signs of interest in doing this. At least none that I've heard. But if we could get just one Democrat to break from the ranks and vote for this tax cut, then that would do it. And don't forget, there's always Vice President Mike Pence, the tiebreaker. McCain had been a tax cut skeptic well before these votes. After Republicans swept control of Congress in 1994, McCain was fretting about being fiscally responsible and urged his fellow lawmakers to heed the lessons of President Ronald Reagan, saying, I think we would be making a terrible mistake to go back to the 80s where we cut all of those taxes and all of a sudden now we've got a debt that we've got to pay on an annual basis that is bigger than the amount that we spend on defense. You know, the remarkable thing is that you have to be deliberately stupid to fail to understand how cutting taxes improves the government's bottom line. Cutting taxes has always been one of those things that causes business to be done in America. And the more business gets done in America, the more taxes the government collects. And if you understand how to prime the capitalist economy, tax cuts are the most efficient way to close those budget gaps. Tax cuts are the best way to put people to work. And as you might surmise from the stock market recently, it just keeps going up. More records falling on Wall Street. The Dow Jones jumps 85 points to a record high on Wall Street as people are betting on strong economic growth. The GDP now upgraded to 3.3%. I mean, this is very big stuff. The U.S. economy has picked up steam this year, growing at an annualized rate of more than 3%. So there's a lot of momentum in the U.S. economy, and that's being reflected in stocks. And Randy Frederick, who is vice president of trading and derivatives at Charles Schwab, said, I can't think of anything other than a black swan event that could derail this economy. The Commerce Department released its second read on third quarter GDP, which showed the economy expanded at an annualized rate of 3.3%. United Health and Verizon Communications were the best performing stocks in the Dow, and it's jumped 85 points and counting. Now, a trader wears a Dow 20,000 hat. Well, what do you think that means, ladies and gentlemen? It means the markets are doing exactly what people that have invested in the markets were hoping they would do. The Dow Jones Industrial Average right now, up 93 points. It's at 23,930. Anybody with a 401k has got to like what they're seeing right now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average in the year 2017 has had the most growth in as far as I know, the most growth ever. I mean, the market was not growing on November 7th, 2016. But since November 8th, 2016, the stock market has just continued to go up, up, up. What does that tell you? It tells you the smart money is on Trump succeeding. Let's go to the phones and say hello to Charlotte in South Carolina. Hello, Charlotte. Welcome to the J.J. McCartney Show. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you. I was thinking about McCain. if he has brain cancer, and I have no reason to doubt him, he shouldn't even be in Congress, much less voting. And McCain should have told him he could not vote on repeal Obamacare. He could not vote on taxes, because anytime anybody has a serious illness like that and is on strong medicine, a doctor will tell them, do not drive, do not sign anything important. And he has no reason to be making decisions for this country, and him with brain cancer. And somebody in Congress should set him down and tell him go home.
Well, you know, if he actually lacks the mental capacity to do the job, then yeah, he should be removed. And you know, I mean, soon enough he's going to die.
Not long ago, in a meeting they had up there, and we don't know from day to day how he's how the medicine is affecting him.
Yeah, well, and you don't know how the disease itself is affecting him.
Right. Right. So he should not be doing any voting at all for the people.
Now, Charlotte, what's your take on the Matt Lauer thing?
Well, if he's guilty, he ought to be fired. But I tell you, I think they ought to give them all a chance. I don't care who it is. They need to face their accuser and be able to prove innocent or guilty.
Well, the other thing I think that he needs... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think the other thing that he needs...
Don't take the job away from them until you know they're guilty, you know.
Well, I think maybe...
Innocent until proven guilty in this country.
Yeah, I think it may be also one of the things that might have helped his case would have been if he had reached out to this girl and tried to make some restitution for her. And tried to, you know, first of all, to earnestly apologize for what he did wrong. Secondly, you know, I think the reasonable way to handle something like this is, you know, like any other misconduct, if it rises to a criminal level, then obviously you have to allow that to play out. But if it's not a criminal level of offense, then I think that, you know, what history has taught us is that, you know, you give somebody a chance, you give them a warning, and you say, but then remember what happened with Bill Clinton. I mean, you know, caught red-handed sexually exploiting a teenager in the Oval Office.
All people should be treated the same. Look at the two senators right now in Congress that are refusing to step down, and the Democrats are taking up for them.
Yep.
They need to face their accusers. If they're guilty, they need to be fired or impeached or whatever it takes.
Yes, absolutely.
In business and in news and in Congress.
Now, you know,
it's always been in America, innocent until proven guilty. But I'll tell you, JJ, anymore, so many of these women will yell sexual harassment if somebody just makes a remark to them, something that doesn't amount to a hill of beans. Things that 20 years ago we wouldn't have paid any attention to.
Right.
And you know, when you work with somebody day in and day out and you're friendly with them, it's nothing for them to hug you or something. You don't think anything of it.
Right, right. And I can say this, too.
And women have a right to speak out. I remember 40 years ago, I was standing in the medicine cabinet in the hospital setting up medicines, and one of the boys that worked there come up and grabbed my butt. I turned around and slapped the fire out of him.
There you go.
The man that was over him laughed about it for days. He said he wore your handprint for a week. But women have a right to speak out and be heard.
Yeah, the other thing...
men have a right to be proven innocent or guilty, too.
The other thing I want to say, because this, I think, is relevant, too, is I'd say a very good percentage of the marriages in America have taken place because of romances that were sparked in a workplace. So it's very difficult to know where that fine line is between consensual fraternization and harassment.
As I say, things that they accuse people of being guilty of nowadays, 20 years ago, we would not have paid any attention to it. We were friends. That was it, working together.
Right.
You know,
right.
And women are too quick to jump and accuse somebody.
Well, and the culture has become so hyperly...
Everybody deserves a judge and jury.
Our culture has become so thin-skinned that they just can't let anything go anymore. You know, Susan and I were watching MASH last night on TV. And, you know, she brought up the subject of, you know, Corporal Klinger on MASH. You know, he wore women's clothes because he was trying to get a Section 8 release from the armed services. But there was no big deal made about it. There was no sexual undertone to it. It was strictly a gag, harmless. But today, I don't think you could have that. I don't think you could make that show today with all of the thin-skinned people.
No.
Yeah, exactly right.
Since Obama, he tried to push that down our throats, and no, you couldn't today. But you're right. People are too thin-skinned nowadays, and a person can lose their job that they work for and build up all their life for one person accusing them of something. Now, I cannot for the life of me believe the things against Judge Moore for the simple fact that he has run for office down there for 40 years, being a judge and everything, and this did not come out in all those years until he ran for the Senate.
Yep.
And 30 years ago in Alabama and Georgia down there, a 14-year-old girl could marry.
Yep.
So things have changed a lot since then.
Yeah,
and if they had come out with these accusations 20 years ago, I may have believed them. But since they come out just when he's running for Senate, I do not. Not until I see proof.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I mean, down south, I can tell you, when I was high school age, that if a girl got pregnant, that usually meant she was getting married. I knew at least two girls that got pregnant at the age of 15 or 16 that immediately got married. And, you know, they you know, one of them continued her education right there in the school. I think the other one chose to go ahead and either drop out or get the GED. But, you know, the thing was, I mean, you know, especially in rural northeast Arkansas, you know, the term barefoot and pregnant was part of the culture down there. It really was.
Yes, it was. Yes,
and I'll say this too. Yeah. As sophisticated as the human race has become, I think that's one of the reasons that we see the birth rate as low as it is. You know, back then, you know, kids, you know, the prime childbearing years for women is between, I think, the ages of 16 and 30. Mm-hmm. And they started young in Arkansas. They just did.
Well, women have become aggressive. They want everything men have. They want to do the jobs they do in the military, and they're lowering the standards for them to be able to pass exams, which I think is wrong.
Yes.
If they want to do the job and they can do it if you can pass the standards that men pass. Otherwise, no, kick them out. If not, it's going to make it harder on the men.
And
but
you know,
women for years have been very aggressive like that, and they accuse people for the least little things we would not have thought anything of years ago. And I get so tired of them saying, well, the president has people accusing him. They forget that.
Yep.
It was proven that those women were all hired off of Craigslist.
Oh, yeah.
And when he threatened to sue them, they all dropped into the background.
Yep. Absolutely right. But they figure the damage has already been done. But I'm hoping the people of Alabama are smarter than that.
You know, yeah. But they keep bringing it up, and nobody defends him and says, hey, that's proven it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, Charlotte, I wish there was such a thing as time travel, because if I could go back in time 50 years, knowing what I know now, I think I really could have stopped some of this from happening in our world. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
I wish I could take my son back to the years when I was growing up and let him see how we were raised.
Yep.
Things were so much more simple then.
They were. Absolutely. Charlotte, love to hear from you. Running out of time here, but thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again very soon, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, stick around. Top of the hour. Going to take a break. We'll come back with more. Hour number 2 of this Freeform Wednesday is coming up. IQ will be back with us next week. Don't worry. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, a stupid machine.
But when the world was on the brink of nuclear holocaust, Kennedy talked to Khrushchev, and he got those missiles out of Cuba.
The fact is that Khrushchev started putting missiles in Cuba after talking to Kennedy in 1961. But wait, there's more.
This young man named Barack Obama got one of those tickets and came over to this country. And he met this woman whose great-great-great-great-grandfather had owned slaves. They looked at each other and they decided, we know that in the world as it has been, it might not be possible for us to get together and have a child. But something's stirring across the country because of what happened in Selma, Alabama, because some folks are willing to march across a bridge. And so they got together and Barack Obama Jr. was born. So don't tell me I don't have a claim on Selma, Alabama. Don't tell me I'm not coming home when I come to Selma, Alabama. I'm here because somebody must.
Actually, numbnuts, you were born in 1961. The Selma March was 4 years later in 1965. But wait, there's more.
I had a uncle who was part of the first American troops to go into Auschwitz and liberate the concentration camps.
Actually, Barack, delusional nut jobs must run in the family because it wasn't the Americans that liberated Auschwitz, it was the Russians, Barry. But wait, there's more.
Tragedy in Kansas. 10,000 people died. An entire town destroyed.
Actually, Barack, 12 people died. Not 10,000 people, 12 people died. But wait, there's more. He wasn't in Sioux City. He was in Sioux Falls. But hey, even the crowd was laughing and booing at the same time. But wait, there's more.
On this Memorial Day, as our nation honors its unbroken line of fallen heroes, and I see many of them in the audience here today.
You do realize, Mr. Obama, that fallen heroes are heroes that died on the field of battle, right? But wait, studies have shown that stupid people see ghosts all the time. But wait, there's more.
So we just don't have enough capacity right now to deal with, and it's not just troops, by the way. It's like Arabic interpreters, Arab language speakers. We only have a certain number of them, and if they're all in Iraq, then it's harder for us to use them. And obviously they may not speak Arabic, but the various dialects that they speak in Afghanistan, oftentimes people who speak Urdu or Pashtun or whatever the languages are, they're going to be needed in those areas, and a lot of them have ended up being placed elsewhere.
Why don't we just send people to Washington who speak Ebonics? But wait, there's more.
When George Bush was elected, he pledged to make Latin America a fundamental commitment of his presidency. And it seemed that a new 21st century era had dawned. Almost 8 years later, those hopes have been dashed. Since the Bush administration launched a misguided war in Iraq, its policy in the Americas has been negligent towards our friends, ineffective with our adversaries, disinterested in the challenges that matter in the people's lives, and incapable of advancing our interests in the region. No wonder, then, that demagogues like Hugo Chavez have stepped into this vacuum.
Hey, Barack, you do realize that Hugo Chavez was installed and took power in 1998. That was when Bill Clinton was president, not George Bush. But wait, there's more.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
No wonder he doesn't wear a flag pin on his lapel, because it only has 50 stars on it. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Obama, more than stupid. The
following is a Nightside Radio Studios production.
From the wind-powered Nightside Radio Studios,
tear down this wall.
This is the J.J. McCartney Show.
It's this man. It's the compassion. It's the dignity. It's the wisdom. It's the horse sense of the guy.
Did you know that 65% of the people murdered in the last 10 years were killed by handguns?
Would it make you feel any better, little girl, if they was pushed out of windows?
The American people have seen the truth, and they can see through your lies. There's coming a day when publications such as yours turn into nothing more than flea market advertising. They'll be handing it out for free in grocery store parking lots under everybody's windshield wiper. Yeah, that's the future for the Washington Post and the New York Times and every other liberal publication in this country. We are not going to tolerate your bull anymore. None of it. The American people are fed up. I thought we made that clear on November 8th, but apparently you people in the media just don't get it. A new chapter in American history begins now.
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America.
Donald Trump is the person to make America great again.
We are a team.
They said it couldn't be done.
Together, we will lead our party back to the White House.
He said it must be done.
Beginning on January 20th, we cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. The most important difference between our plan and that of our opponent is that our plan will put America first.
Here's J.J. McCartney.
All right, we are back. Thank you for being with us on this wonderful Wednesday, the 29th day of November. IQ Al Rassouli could not be with us today because he had some very important business to attend to. And so he will be back with us next week. Also next week, Monday, in hour one, my guest is going to be John B. Wells, the host of Caravan to Midnight and Arc Midnight. And also on Monday, hour number 2, is best-selling author and pastor Carl Gallups. We'll talk about his YouTube channel being reinstated after they tried to take it down and gave no explanation whatsoever. But Carl Gallups is a good man. Carl Gallups decided that he wasn't going to just take it lying down. He was going to try and, see what he could do about getting these people to be reasonable. And after some pushback, they relented and reinstated his channel. Now, I, on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, scenario pretty similar. And on my YouTube channel, my old YouTube channel, I mean, we had, 3,700 plus subscribers, over 1.6 million views on YouTube. And they just, up and decided to shut down my live streaming. No explanation, no warning of any kind, just poof. And so I had to set up a new channel just so we can live stream and have that go to the website. Which, by the way, when you go to jjmccartney.com, you can watch the show live, or you can just listen if you like. That's fine, too. And it's just really bizarre that, there is absolutely no rhyme or reason to what they do at YouTube. It's just whatever the heck they feel like doing, that's what they do. And, as a result of that, it is outrageous what they do. It truly is. It is an absolute outrage, the manner with which YouTube does this. And, it's not cool. It's definitely not cool. It's not something that anybody should have to put up with. But, because they are not a because they are not regulated per se by the government, they can, go ahead and, they can force people into silence. I mean, it's as simple as that. That's all they do is they just step all over little people that don't have, the kind of resources to fight back. And they do it with impunity. They do it with impunity. Which, is sad, but it's true. It's exactly what they do. Now, for those of you that wish to join us in the chat room, you can just go to jjmccartney.com, and when you see the YouTube screen come up there, click on play, and then go down to the right there where it says YouTube, and just click on it, down the lower right of the YouTube window. What that will do is that will launch the show playing back on its screen in YouTube, and then you have the live chat just to the right of the window. You can talk with other listeners, ask questions there, and we will monitor that. So it's a really good deal. Really and truly it is. It's been fixed now. The YouTube thing on my website is fixed. Just FYI. Yeah, we put it one place and then forgot to cut and paste it to the other. Just one of the things we have to do because they messed with our YouTube channel. So now you know. Okay. Where do we want to start this hour? Okay, I guess I'll start wherever I feel like it. We begin with this. Somali refugees. Muslim refugees in the United States, quote-unquote refugees. Now, this from Leo Homan at WorldNet Daily. A Somali refugee who raped 2 U.S. women at knife point is walking around free. It's been 6 years since Somali refugee Muhammad Ali Muhammad, then age 14, sexually assaulted 2 women at knife point on consecutive nights in Salt Lake City. Muhammad, now just 1 month from his 21st birthday, attacked one woman who was standing outside of her home on August 14th of 2011. The teen came up behind the woman who was outside her house with a dog and held a 4-inch switchblade to her throat. He threatened to kill her if she made a sound. This according to police records. Then he raped her behind her home. On the following night, this teenager from Somalia broke into another woman's home and beat her before demanding she go for an ATM and withdraw $400 for him. He would later tell investigators he wanted the money so he didn't have to wear stained clothes on the first day of 9th grade. Fast forward to Monday of this week, November 27th, 2017. After serving 6 years in juvenile detention center, Muhammad sat in court and admitted to doing very, very horrible things as a teenager. He said, "I was a monster." Speaking in the 3rd District Court in Salt Lake City, he said, "I didn't know what I was thinking. I was a very stupid kid." But after 6 years in the Wasatch Youth Detention Center, Muhammad swears he is a different person than the boy who brutally attacked the 2 women in 2011, according to a report by the Salt Lake Tribune, saying, "There is nothing I could say or do that could restore what I did to them." He said, "The only way I can show them that I've changed is how I live my life." Because he is about to age out of the juvenile system, Judge Vernice WW3s had the option of sentencing Muhammad to a term in the Utah State Prison or let him walk free on probation. And she chose the latter. Muhammad has been at the Youth Detention Center since pleading guilty in 2012 to rape, sexual assault, and kidnapping charges. According to the terms of his probation, he must check in weekly with the court and his probation officer. He is banned from having internet access and must wear an ankle monitor. If he violates his probation, the judge said she won't bat an eye in sending him to adult prison to serve consecutive sentences on 3 crimes he pleaded guilty to in adult court. Muhammad told the judge, "I won't let you down." And neither the prosecutors nor Muhammad's victims were happy with the judge sentencing him to probation. One victim told the judge that she is terrified at the thought of Muhammad being out on the same streets where she lives. The woman who was assaulted inside her home asked for the strictest sentence the judge could hand down, saying she has to live with flashbacks and fear every day. He did adult crimes, she told the judge, while fighting back tears, and should have an adult sentence to match what he did. This is not the first Somali refugee to cause heartbreak and tragedy in Utah. In February of 2016, 17-year-old Abdi Muhammad was reportedly in a coma after being shot 3 times by police following an incident in which Abdi was found beating another man, according to a press release from the Salt Lake City Police Department. Officers witnessed 2 males with metal objects attacking a male victim around 8 p.m. in the area of 300 South Rio Grande Street. The release states officers confronted the 2 suspects and ordered them to drop their weapons. One of the males complied and dropped the weapon. The other, Abdi Muhammad, continued to advance on the victim and was shot by officers. That shooting sparked protest rallies to break out in the city, with protesters throwing rocks and bottles at police. Muhammad had reportedly come to the U.S. 10 years prior from a United Nations refugee camp in Kenya. Most of the refugees in Utah are resettled there by Catholic charities. In 2008, in Salt Lake City, a Rohingya Muslim from Burma named Isar Met, convicted of raping and murdering a fellow refugee, a 7-year-old Christian girl from Burma, in the apartment complex where a resettlement agency working for the U.S. State Department had placed him. Met was sentenced to life in prison, where U.S. taxpayers will pick up the tab for his care. Right after the murder in 2008, the Salt Lake Tribune discovered that Met lived in a separate part of the same refugee camp as did his victim. Burmese Muslims and Christians do not mix in their home country, and no one should be expecting them to meld into our American cultural stew either, reported refugee watchdog Ann Corcoran. Met clearly had mental health problems back in the camp, and for that reason alone should never have been allowed entry into the United States. So where is the highly touted screening we are always told precedes a refugee arrival in America? Asked Corcoran. Well, Utah has received nearly 14,000 refugees from UN camps since 2002, with nearly 6,000 of those being from Muslim-majority countries. Exactly 2,996 have come from Somalia. That's according to the State Department's own Refugee Processing Center. You know, the president promised us that he was going to put a stop to this. But the deep state, activist judges, all of them leftists, all of them loyal to Barack Obama, have tried to neuter Donald Trump. I have no reason to believe that anything would change if Donald Trump was to step out and Mike Pence was to step in. No doubt in my mind that the tantrum-throwing left is now stuck in the mode of being obstructionist to the detriment of themselves, if that's, you know, it will never sink into their own brains. But do they think that these Muslim refugees are going to have any hesitation to rape their daughters? Think about that. These deep state morons and the people that voted for Hillary. Do you honestly think that the Muslims are going to thank you and spare your daughters? Or do you not care? Is it possible that you just don't really care? Yeah, oh, no. It's not possible because the Democrats have a monopoly on caring. Mm-hmm. They also have a monopoly on lip service. We'll be back.
The J.J. McCartney Show.
Hey, everybody. J.J. McCartney here. You know, it's not very often that I get excited about a product, but I am sure excited about this one. I'm talking, of course, about MyPillow.com. These pillows are made in the USA. They come with a 60-day comfort guarantee and a 10-year warranty. They are machine washable and dryable. They come with a patented interlocking fill. It keeps you cool at night and it will not go flat. Go to MyPillow.com. Click the radio listeners special tab and use promo code JJMC to get 2 premium king or queen size pillows and 2 additional go anywhere travel pillows for one special price and free shipping. That's MyPillow.com, promo code JJMC, or call 800-953-6613. That's 800-953-6613. MyPillow.com, promo code JJMC.
But I remember the story of a fellow who was running for office as a Republican, and he was in a rural area, and it wasn't known to be Republican, and he stopped by a farm to do some campaigning. And when the farmer heard he was a Republican, his jaw dropped, and he said, "Wait right here till I go get Ma. She's never seen a Republican before." So he got her, and the candidate looked around for a podium from which to give his speech, and the only thing he could find was a pile of that stuff that Bess Truman took 35 years trying to get Harry to call fertilizer. So he got up on the mound, and when they came back, he gave his speech. And at the end of it, the farmer said, "That's the first time I ever heard a Republican speech." And the candidate said, "That's the first time I've ever given a Republican speech from a Democratic platform."
You have a mission. It's no collision. Hold the phone. Don't text. You're angling to be next. Brothers and sisters, you won't see it coming. You're off the road. Your life explodes. It's not worth it. Don't do it. You only think there's nothing to it. Put it down. Hang up. Pay attention to highway action. Behind the wheel, there is no such thing as a small distraction. Join the conversation at decidetodrive.org. A public service message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
JJMcCartney.com.
Today, my new dad threw a barbecue.
Today, my new son and I threw a barbecue.
There were burgers and chicken.
I burnt everything. The burgers, the chicken, the salad.
They were delicious.
They were awful.
And then we had watermelon.
I'm allergic to watermelon.
And then we played catch.
I broke Mr. Lewis's window, Mrs. Wakeham's window, Mrs. Wakeham's windshield. And then, somehow, my hand. My hand!
And then my dad even let me drive his car.
The hospital's on the right! it was a rough day.
It was a great day.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back. It's the Wednesday edition of the J.J. McCartney Show. Thank you for being with us. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, if you're wondering what that screen is that you're seeing right now, I just want to remind you folks that when we're not live on the J.J. McCartney Show, you go to jjmccartney.com, you click the audio player, and you can hear the very best music. I'm talking the music of your lifetime. If you're my age, even a little older, I think you'll like what you hear. You know, the best of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, some 1950s music. Not much, but some. And heck, we even sometimes play stuff from the early to mid-90s. Because I know that, you know, there's people out there that are younger. They want to hear what they want to hear. But the thing is, we're doing it in a way that very few people do today. I mean, it would be boring if we sat there and played the same 300 songs that most mainstream commercial radio stations play. I mean, they narrow it down so much. And then they just play the heck out of these songs. Well, what we do is we go a little deeper in our library. So that we're playing stuff that you like, but we're also playing stuff that maybe you haven't heard. Or maybe you haven't heard it in 30 or 40 years. Maybe you didn't even realize that it happened. You know, I find that happens a lot. You know, with some people, like my brother. I play a song for him. He goes, "Wow, I don't recognize that one." I was like, "Yeah, it was big when it was released." But the thing is, you have these young whippersnappers now that work at commercial radio stations that they weren't around back then. So they just don't know what rings familiar in the ears and the hearts of people our age. So I hope you give it a chance. We call it the Reunion Station, J.J. McCartney 24/7. You can get to it by going to jjmccartney.com, or you go to AmericanClassReunion.com. And when you get there, just giving you simple instructions here, when you get there, go to the main page at jjmccartney.com, and then you will be all set. I mean, that's really all you have to do. Go to the main page at jjmccartney.com, and then you see the audio player. It says "Listen Live via Shoutcast." Right beneath that is the audio player. And when you do that, then you're plugged in. So you'll hear our show when we do it live every day from 3 to 5. And then you'll hear the Reunion Station. So I hope you'll give it a chance. It's really good. It really is. But I digress. Let's get back to the news. You know, there's plenty of it to get to today. And by the way, phone lines are wide open. All right, here's some of the details about Matt Lauer. Multiple women accusing Matt Lauer of sex harassment. Among the allegations, he gave a coworker a sex toy. He exposed his genitalia to employees. And then there was the alleged assault on a staffer during the Olympics, which we already talked about. Was not an isolated incident. A flashback, he used his show to mock workplace harassment. Now, this is something I did not know before. Perhaps you did not either. There is a video clip. We'll play the audio from it and let you hear that after the... there we go. All right.
reports the smack heard round the studio. It was an off-air moment involving two of our own, Matt Lauer and Willie Geist, and it has everyone around here talking and accusing. The whole thing was captured on surveillance cameras, so we sent Today national investigative correspondent Jeff Rawson just outside Studio 1A to give us more. Jeff, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. It all happened right here. This is the door to the studio, and right over here is the staircase upstairs to Matt's dressing room. Matt says around this time yesterday morning, he came down the stairs, was standing about over here getting ready for an upcoming segment, when Willie walked in, said, "Hey Matt," and then Matt says he smacked him right on the tush. Look, this kind of behavior happens all the time between guys on football fields and then huddles, but is it really appropriate for the workplace? Judge for yourself. Caught on tape, surveillance cameras are rolling as Willie's hand goes in for the swat. Did you see it? Here it is again from another angle. The owner of that derriere breaking his silence.
I was standing by the doorway in the vestibule, and Willie came out, and I just said, hi Willie, how are you? And I thought that would be the end of it. And then he reached out and, you know.
Yes, we do. Watch what happens next. Matt slaps back.
Yeah, this is really disgraceful.
More to this story? Some would look at this and say, you did something to provoke this.
It's impossible. I didn't do anything differently. I wasn't wearing a different cologne. This was uninitiated.
Wow.
Willie. Jeff Rawson from NBC News.
I didn't do it.
I think you know what this is about. We had some questions.
This is using the power of the NBC News crews to do a bogus mocking video in the style of investigative journalism for, I guess, the reason of just poking fun at the real victims of sexual harassment in the workplace. I mean, it really is. When you think about that, it is truly disgusting. It's what an outrage, an absolute outrage that they would choose to, to mock the real victims of sexual harassment. Really, what an outrage. I'm just stunned. I'm really and truly stunned that NBC would be so insensitive to the subject of sexual misconduct in the workplace to such a degree that Matt Lauer himself is... I don't even know what to say. I really don't. So disgusted by this, and the fact that Matt Lauer would be a part of such a mocking video. It's literally, it turns my stomach. And if you think, you think about it, what are our kids being exposed to? And what is the future going to be like in workplaces around the world if justice is not meted out? I really am. I'm really shocked that... And now, don't get me wrong. I'm not naive. I know that this kind of thing in the workplace is probably a lot more common than most people want to admit. But the fact that NBC News and this Jeff Rawson, whoever the heck he is, would conspire to make a video that is so clearly intended to diminish the seriousness of sexual harassment in the workplace. This is beyond disgusting. It really is. Now, I'm going to show you the video because I feel like it's more effective if we show it to you than it is if we just play the audio. So we're going to do a screen capture of the video, and I'll let you see it for yourself. And you tell me if this isn't every bit as disgusting as I've tried to describe it as, because I'm just beyond appalled that they would have such poor taste. Here it is.
Back now at 8:11 with a special. Rawson reports the smack heard round the studio. It was an off-air moment involving two of our own, Matt Lauer and Willie Geist, and it has everyone around here talking and accusing. The whole thing was captured on surveillance cameras, so we sent Today national investigative correspondent Jeff Rawson just outside Studio 1A to give us more. Jeff, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. It all happened right here. This is the door to the studio, and right over here is the staircase upstairs to Matt's dressing room. Matt says around this time yesterday morning, he came down the stairs, was standing about over here getting ready for an upcoming segment, when Willie walked in, said, "Hey Matt," and then Matt says he smacked him right on the tush. Look, this kind of behavior happens all the time between guys on football fields and then huddles, but is it really appropriate for the workplace? Judge for yourself.
As they continue this thing, just look at the mockery that they are making of the real victims of sexual harassment or worse in the workplace. I mean, you consider this, you know, if these women decide to pursue criminal charges against Matt Lauer and NBC, or claim that NBC fostered an environment where their civil rights were violated, I mean, they could almost own the network once all is said and done. This was something they did for The Daily Show, by the way. So let's continue.
Caught on tape. Surveillance cameras are rolling as Willie's hand goes in for the swat. Did you see it? Here it is again from another angle. The owner of that derriere breaking his silence.
I was standing by the doorway in the vestibule, and Willie came out, and I just said, hi Willie, how are you? And I thought that would be the end of it. And then he reached out and, you know.
Yes, we do.
You see this, and, you know, the style of this video. You know, and some people say, well, it's just a harmless joke. No, it's not. There is a subliminal intention that's driving the producing of this video. You know, subliminal, by that I mean that, you know, it's not intended to be overt. It's intended to be subtle. And what makes this even more shocking is the timeline of all this. You know, when did this really happen? We continue.
Watch what happens next. Matt slaps back. Is there more to this story? Some would look at this and say, you did something to provoke this.
It's impossible. I didn't do anything differently. I wasn't wearing a different cologne. This was uninitiated.
Willie. Jeff Rawson from NBC News.
I didn't do it.
I think you know what this is about. We had some questions for Willie. We have it all on tape, Willie. Your hand touching Matt's tush. How do you explain that?
It was a touch of the lower back. I think if you review the security footage, it's readily available. And I should.
Yeah, this is even more disgusting as they mock the anatomy and I mean, honestly, when I was in 9th grade, I had the concept of sexual suggestiveness explained to me in a very clear way, to make it fairly well understood that when you, especially if it's, you know, today it doesn't matter what sex But back then it was, I was taught that you just don't walk around patting women on the buttocks because it's sexually suggestive. And of course, girls, they engaged in a lot of that same behavior when I was in high school. But in a workplace environment, and just understand how deep this mockery is going by these so-called news reporters. Now, understanding that this was meant to be a tongue-in-cheek joke, but what it really turns out to be is a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How can we tweak our noses at the real victims of workplace harassment?
Show you, Mag. Show you what I did to Matt.
Yeah.
I had papers in my hand, and the tape will show this clearly. And it was a strike to the lower back. Good tidings. Good day to you, sir.
You have never done this to anyone else in the office. You've never touched my butt. You've never touched Al's butt. This almost seems like a targeted attack.
I have touched Al's butt, just not with the cameras rolling.
You feel victimized by this?
I'm upset for a couple of reasons. One, that he denied it. I mean, why deny it? I mean, if you do it, own up to it. And secondly, since it happened, he hasn't called, he hasn't written, nothing.
Yeah, you're real funny, Matt Lauer. Boy, I tell you what. It's, maybe Matt Lauer can sit back in his jacuzzi and play this video over and over again to himself and try and convince himself that he somehow is the victim of some cruel hand of fate. I'm not joking around, folks. 855-853-5227. I mean, this really shines a troubling light on Matt Lauer's personality and his capacity to be insensitive to women that he actually, violated in some way or another. Very disturbing.
That may be the worst part of all.
The abandonment.
We've shown this tape to several experts who all agree this kind of play is only appropriate when you have the prior permission of both people, which our investigation has uncovered Willie did not have. Guys?
Jeff Rawson, thank you so much.
Wow. Now, we ought to check in at Scarborough and see if this has happened before.
Oh, it has. I would say a couple things. First of all, I've retained legal counsel, so there's only so much I can say in
fact,
matter.
you should stop talking right now. I'm
Probably
your lawyer.
so, but I think if you look at the videotape, it's more damning for this gentleman than it is for me. I came with rolled up.
Yeah, they're real funny. They're a whole bunch of comedians right there. Is this a tragedy for Matt Lauer? I don't care whether it is or not. See, that's the bottom line here. So many people saying, oh, I feel so bad for Matt Lauer. Who cares what happens to Matt Lauer? Why should we have any empathy or sympathy for him whatsoever? If the accusations are true, and I would certainly say that, there must be a lot of ironclad evidence for NBC to so quickly and decisively cut ties with the man. And I don't know. To me, there's probably only one way that Matt Lauer can be redeemed in the pop culture. And that is for him to either come out as a transgender or to say that he now wants to be called Caitlyn. Aside from that, I can't imagine him rehabilitating himself in the eyes of the public. But there's an awful lot of ladies out there that like Matt Lauer a lot. And, this is the thing about the left, is they're so willing to forgive this kind of behavior if the person that supposedly committed it agrees with them ideologically. There's nothing they can't forgive as long as you toe the party line. And this has been the trend with Democrats for a long, long time. Okay, now let's talk about North Korea. So they launched the missile yesterday. And again, it falls into the Sea of Japan. South Korea says, we've had enough of this, and they send a missile, largely intended to send a message rather than to inflict bodily harm on people. But nonetheless, it's an escalation. There are people out there worried that World War III is about to happen. What do you think? I mean, Vladimir Putin is worried about war breaking out on the Korean Peninsula, but he certainly wasn't worried about war breaking out on the Crimean Peninsula or the Ukraine or Syria. Vladimir Putin is a political opportunist, but he certainly has no credibility in claiming that the United States are the warmongers. Not when you consider the actions of Vladimir Putin in the last 5 years. So it'll be interesting to see, what will be the next development in this whole thing? The fact of the matter is Barack Obama allowed North Korea to build nukes. And Barack Obama was working behind the scenes to allow Iran to do the same thing. And who's to say that Barack Obama didn't, behind the scenes, facilitate the development of nuclear weapons in North Korea with the intention of exporting that same technology to Iran? I know those are pretty hefty accusations to make, but how else do you explain Barack Hussein Obama and John Kerry making a deal with Iran that they followed through on? They gave them $155 billion that had been seized when the Ayatollahs put on the revolution that ousted the Shah. And that's, of course, what led to the Iranian hostage crisis. And now here we are, nearly 40 years later, and Iran is pursuing their nuclear weapon ambitions with abandon. Because Barack Obama and John Kerry laid together the blueprint for Iran to build nuclear weapons. Phone lines are open, folks, 855-853-5227. I don't have the throat to do 13 more minutes of solo action here, okay? I really don't. And, I miss IQ. Can't wait till he gets back. I just don't have the throat to talk for another 13 minutes. So if you want to help out and chime in with your 2 cents worth, then certainly you're free to do that. 855-853-5227. That's 855-853-5227. This is the J.J. McCartney Show. We're live every weekday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also catch the archive shows on the YouTube channel. And soon we will be posting all of our archives to the Patreon channel, and we'll share that with you in the days to come. Meanwhile, we're going to step out here and take a bit of a break because my throat is just not going to last. It's already tightening up on me. And so I am going to do what I can, and then we're going to take a break here because I just don't have enough left in the tank on this Wednesday. I wish I did. I really do. But I'm just being honest with you, folks. My throat is not going to make it to the finish line today on my own. So I ask you all to please have mercy on your host. Have mercy, please. Okay. Here's a news bite. Leanne Tweeden speaking with Robin Roberts. And this is really what got the ball rolling with regard to Al Franken Here it is.
Leanne, thank you. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Robin. Thank
you. How are you doing this morning? I know you weren't expecting this kind of reaction.
You know, I'm tired. I was up since 2 a.m. California time yesterday, and it was just, it was overwhelming. You know, it was a kind of a media frenzy that I think I wasn't ready for and expecting. I think I knew there would be some media attention. Right. I just wasn't prepared for everything that was happening yesterday. And then I got on a plane, and you know, and here I am, literally off the plane and from the airport straight here. So,
of course, this happened in 2006, but you had a reason why.
Yeah.
You wanted to share your story now.
You know, I originally did want to share it when I came back then, and you know, it was a different time. And my then boyfriend, now husband, and the father of my 2 kids said, "They're going to annihilate you. They're gonna
We're talking about 2006 when this behavior by Al Franken happened. So, you know, 11 years is a fairly long time, but 11 years ago, the guy wasn't a U.S. senator.
To find every skeleton in your closet. You were a model. Your career at the time, I was doing the Best Damn Sports show with Michael Strahan, you know, on Fox Sports, and your career is gonna be ruined. Don't do it now. Like, you know, just, it's not worth the effort, you know. Yeah. You're going to be victimized. Nothing's going to happen to him.
So, you know, isn't that probably what Matt Lauer was thinking in the back of his mind? That nothing was going to happen to him? And that, you know, if they tried, he'd just turn it around on the victim. The mindset of the serial sexual harassment perpetrator. You're figuring that, well, if they make any accusations, I'll just turn it around on them.
So I stayed quiet, but I was angry. And with the whole Harvey Weinstein stuff coming out, you know, and all these other women coming out and talking, and every day we'd hear stories, and you know, I'm the news anchor on a radio show, McIntyre in the Morning in Los Angeles, and we were talking to these women. Congresswoman Jackie Spear came on our show about 10 days ago and told her story as a congressional aide when she was in her 20s. And she said her chief of staff trapped her in an office. And
you know, this is the kind of thing that, I mean, the ripple effect from this could be huge. Even after 11 years, the people that come out of the woodwork now, I mean, we're talking about retroactively. How many tentacles will this thing wind up having?
Took her head in his hands and kissed her and stuck his tongue in her mouth. And at that moment, you know, I just said, that happened to me. That was Al Franken, and that happened to me. And I said, that was my sign. I think if I don't speak up now, I'm going to forever hold that and keep it with me forever. That was my moment to speak up. And, you know, I have 2 little kids. And I said, this is my time to, you know, worse has happened to other people, but maybe I have a platform to speak out, because if he did this to somebody else, or if anybody else has stayed silent, or anybody else has been the victim of any kind of abuse, maybe they can speak out and feel like they can come forward in real time and not wait a decade or longer.
You know, this is something I think that really is important. It could very well be that Leanne Tweeden speaking out is what gave this other girl at NBC the courage to speak out too. I mean, Leanne Tweeden could wind up being one of the heroines in this whole thing. And I don't think that would be a bad thing. Stick around, folks. More to come. The J.J. McCartney Show tomorrow, Thursday. I believe we have Michael Cutler lined up to be with us. We'll talk with him, get his angle on things. Of course, we'll track the latest news for you as well. When breaking news happens, we'll bring it to you as close to live as we possibly can. Stick around. More to come.
If you agree with JJ's conservative pillars for rescuing America's economy, stay tuned for more. If you are a liberal and think everything is okay, you can go pet your unicorn now.
I was working division when the call came in. An internet site was down. It needed attention immediately. First things first. What happened? I got our forensics team on it at once. They'd seen it a million times before.
With all due respect, John, I am head of IT, and I have it on good authority. If you type Google into Google, you can break the internet. So please, no one try it. Even for a joke, it's not a laughing matter. You can break
the internet.
When will people learn?
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
The J.J. McCartney Show.
I've got your 6.
I've got your 6.
I've got your 6.
In the military, got your 6 means I've got your back.
I've got your 6.
Through jobs, education, housing, and more, we can support returning military veterans and their families. Please show your support and prove to a veteran you've got their 6.
I've got your 6.
I've got your 6.
Go to gotyouр6.org for more information and to purchase 6 merchandise like the now famous 6 lapel pin that you can buy and wear to show your support.
We are back on the Wednesday edition of the J.J. McCartney Show. Thank you all for being with us today. I tell you, it's amazing how the time flies. Amazing how the weeks go by. Tomorrow is the last day of November. And in case I forget tomorrow, I want to say happy birthday to my brother. He will be older than me by another year tomorrow. So happy birthday to my brother, Mr. T, as I'm going to affectionately call him. Hope you have a good one, bro. Really do. You know, as we try to line up stories for tomorrow, and you, by the way, if you have a news idea, shoot me an email. My email address is, now write this down, jj@jjmccartney.com. Very easy to remember, jj@jjmccartney.com. Send your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions. And you know, you send money if you want. Certainly wouldn't argue with that. But no, seriously. If you have an idea for something, maybe there's something we've missed. I mean, it's, you know, it can happen. Let us know so that we can bring you the most comprehensive and I think the most scintillating, interesting, and engaging show that we possibly can. That's why we're here, is to try and make the world a better place. Yeah, I know. It sounds schmaltzy and everything, but the chicks love it, if you know what I mean. All right, my friends, thank you for being with us. Again, IQ Al Rassouli will be back next week, Wednesday. Fear not. And again, I want to remind everybody, you don't want to miss next week. Monday, John B. Wells in hour number 1, and pastor and author Carl Gallups in hour number 2 on Monday. Plus, of course, breaking news. We'll try and stay on top of it for you. And we are working on other guests for next week as well. And let me tell you something. We swing for the fences here, and we usually hit it. So you don't want to miss it. All right. So until we meet again, I want you to keep a couple of things in mind. You know, don't waste your time pouring sympathy on Matt Lauer. Instead, spend your time praying. You can pray for the man, but let's remember the victims in all of this. And let's never allow celebrity to cloud our vision when it comes to what has happened. The victims are always the primary consideration. That's the way it should be. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and fold up the tent for today. I thank you all for being here. Join us tomorrow and every weekday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, live at jjmccartney.com, redstatetalkradio.com, and live streaming video at YouTube and now on Patreon as well. All right, my friends, be good to yourselves, and if you possibly can, be good to someone else. And remember, we'll win in the end because there are more of us than there are of them, because God is with us. and because we're all in this thing together. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. See you on Thursday. Until then, God bless everybody. Bye-bye.